Hello, I'm Kevin Doyle, and I'm joined now in the Irish Independent studios by Ireland editor of the Irish Independent, Fionnán Sheahan. Because Fionnán, I see a path to a general election on October 25th. You bring forward the budget by a few weeks, and the reason I suggest that will be the date that Simon Harris could or should pick is because the clocks go back that weekend on the 27th, and they want to be out canvassing in the long evenings. Some of them have enjoyed this campaign over the last few weeks because they could actually get out there in the decent weather, and things will only get worse after that.
Yeah, and there's another couple of factors driving you towards that as well. We're now definitely going to have about 3 or 4 by-elections as a result of the European elections, the European Commissioner to come. Those vacancies arise from around about mid-July, so they have to be held within 6 months. That brings it to early January. You're not going to hold them in early January, so you're going to have to hold them in that October, November period. Now, you could go early September before a budget. It's easier to move the budget around. A budget has been incrementally creeping forward over recent times. You could bring the budget into about the second week in September, get the measures out there, let people know what's going on, get your finance bill passed, and then, hey presto, away you go to the country. There was an interesting dynamic in the last couple of weeks. A public sector pay deal was initiated this year. The Congress of Trade Unions only voted it through in April, which meant the pay packets for May for public sector unions had a back-dated pay rise of a couple of 100 extra quid for every public sector worker in the country, landing in their pay packs within weeks of an election. So great, the potential feel-good factor there. So if people see what a budget is prepared, delivered, and you're basically saying to people, this is what we're offering, what have those guys got?
Well, that actually feeds my point, because we've seen in the past where I think Leo Varadkar at one stage say, no, you wait, you have your election in February, March, because people will feel the changes in the budget in January once the tax comes in, once the pension rises, whatever. Yeah. I don't believe that's ever true, because you promised me €1,000, I say, oh, great, I'd love €1,000 back in my tax. But then when you break that down over 12 months and the first that comes in January, and you're suddenly like, oh, it's 75 quid.
And your credit card is up the 90s anyway, because you've had the Christmas splurge. So that's the thing. It's also dark nights, cold weather, wet, so it makes sense to go while we still have somewhat longer evenings. And September isn't a bad time to be out canvassing. The alternative date for you is March the 20th, 2020.
St. Patrick's weekend.
Basically, yeah. So this is a throwaway comment that Simon Harris was coming out with yesterday evening. He was in the RS, and as he was leaving, we were talking about stuff, and he was there. Just have to keep it going now to March 22nd, I think he said. So that's the legally last date that you can hold an election. So if you were to go down that scenario, that means he pushes it out. He calls an election around about February 20th, which is 5 years exactly from the first sitting of this Dáil. You have to dissolve the Dáil, go to the Rs, and you call a long campaign to land on March 22nd.
Well, I see a problem.
Go on.
In the middle of that campaign, the entire of Irish politics descends on Washington.
Great. You're the Taoiseach, you're looking statesman-like, and you're going over to
meet Donald Trump.
I don't
think you've taught this through, Fionnán.
Or whatever is working with Joe Biden at that point. So you get to travel over and look statesman-like for a couple of days in the middle of a campaign, then you come back for the final debates, and away you go. There is an element here, though. How does Simon Harris guarantee that he gets to go to the White House? Because if he goes in September or he goes in January, he ain't going to be Taoiseach then. So if you go early March, you're still knocking around as the Taoiseach on an interim basis, and you can go to the White House. But then we're suggesting that a politician has an ego and he really wants, and this is what's guiding him.
Would he risk his entire election on just getting...
Oh God, yeah, for the trip to the White House. Oh yeah, absolutely. So yeah, this is the conundrum now that is going to present itself to Simon Harris, because the argument now is Sinn Féin are weak, government is relatively strong in the wake of this weekend. The momentum is with you. Carry on. Because what Simon Harris has done for the last 2 months is his, in inverted commas, energy that he has brought to the job. He's shown, let's take action on immigration. Let's take action on housing. Can he keep that up over the course of 6 months? You can't keep putting barriers down the Grand Canal and moving
9 months. to
and
elect.
yeah, and moving tents out. You've got to come up with more sustainable policies. You're not going to keep getting away with, we're setting up a task force on this, there's a subcommittee on that. People are going to want to see, okay, that's great. What are the tangible results here?
So if you were to take the three coalition leaders, I think Eamon Ryan is in no rush. They had a mixed bag for the Greens. He probably needs a little bit of time to recalibrate and get his candidates and everything lined up. So he's no rush. March for him suits perfectly fine. Yeah. I think Simon Harris is trying to hold back a tide within his own party, and the pressure will mount to go sooner. And I suspect that he would be minded to go sooner. I don't entirely buy into your I want to go down the Washington road. Micheál Martin seems utterly adamant that he does not want to go early, and I actually believe him.
Yeah, and Micheál Martin is an old dog for the hard road, and in situations like this, he does take a long-term view on things. He's of the view, you see out your 5 years, you say to people, we presented a stable government to you, we overcame hurdles. You don't go jumping on the basis of any old opinion poll or whatever whim of the day is carrying you. You see out your plan. So that's his issue there. For him, there's probably more going on with the by-elections. They're going to have the Barrycown vacancy to fill. Fianna Fáil got a majority in Clare, so that puts them. They'll obviously be expected to win the Michael McNamara vacancy down there. Carol Kilkenny is still a very strong position for them. So you look at them in terms of the Kathleen Funchion by-election there too. So there's probably more going on for them with the by-election in terms of expectation of wins than there is with Fine Gael. So maybe he sees the by-elections as a chance to consolidate and get a few wins under the belt too. But yeah, Eamon Ryan not really seeing that he's going to want to go anywhere. So again, we're going to be back into a Fine Gael leader perennial problem. When do you call a general election? And Kenny got it wrong 2016, should have probably called it in latter stages 2015, prevented from doing so by Joan Burton. John Bruton going back to 97, listened to Ivan Yates about cattle prices earlier on in the year, and farmers been happy, and he went early and it proved costly. So Simon Harris, who's whispering in his ear? That's the question. Well,
call it Fionnán. I think the options are October 25th, which I'm tabling, November 15th, which is the one I think circulating heavily in political government circles, or all the way to the middle of March.
Yeah, I'm sticking with spring. Yeah, whether that's February or March, I'm going to stick with that, and you stick with your autumn.
Okay, well, we shall revisit it when the time comes. But for now, you can continue to follow all the coverage of the counts as they come in on the Irish Independent website.